going into our lightning round sessions, and we have our first Nebraska presenter. Yay! Joanna Carver from our McCool Junction Public School Library here in McCool Junction, Nebraska, and their FTE is 242, and she's going to talk about revolutionizing the integration of library exploration into modern times. So take it away, Joanna. These are lightning round sessions, each session about 10 minutes, and we will have time for a couple of questions, probably not as much as when we're doing our longer sessions. We've got to get through them all, but we will have some. So if you do have any, pop them into that question section when you think of it.
Awesome, thank you. I am Joanna Carver. I am from McCool Junction. We are 7 miles south of York. We are a very rural, small school. With that being said, our resources are pretty great. I work for a phenomenal school board and a great superintendent. I just wanted to share what I do here. I am a cross-curricular teacher. I am K-12 media specialist, but then I am also our K-6 school librarian. And I feel like this is coming in the very near future for media specialists to kind of advocate for what we do. I think it's really valuable that we can show that we spread very wide and far within our school districts. And so I am in schools, which is very different than the public library. So that's what I'm going to share. So some very simple things that I do that you probably are already doing. And so the first, not letting me change my, oh, there we go. Sorry, it was not letting me change and then decided to do it all at once. I'm going to talk about importance of identifying goals and roles, and then simple changes can move rocks, make huge impacts, and then also examples of integration that I personally use. And so feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to give you all the resources that I have. Beg, borrow, and steal. It's the best skill of all teachers, in my opinion. So the first one that I am going to spend some time talking about is clear is kind. And so at the beginning of every school year, I sit with my administration. I talk to my teachers, like, what are some things you really feel like we missed last year, or like I need to emphasize this year? So once again, I am our elementary counselor and then our K-12 media specialist. So in our library time, I do SEL and library. It is a combined time. And so we use our character traits as my primary resource of what I'm doing every month. So our school PBS is PRIDE. Our acronym is PRIDE, and that stands for preparation, respect, integrity, dedication, and effort. So my first 5 months of the year are spent emphasizing these character traits, and I pull in materials from like the library, so like books that have to do with preparation, with respect, with integrity, dedication, and effort. So I'm able to combine those two very beautifully about what does pride look like, feel like, sound like when we're talking about preparation, respect, integrity, dedication, and effort. It has, in my opinion, revolutionized what I do, and it also flows seamlessly because they're talking about it in the classrooms. When kids get sent to the office for office referrals, they're talking about, able to say, hey, I know this month you're working on integrity. What is integrity? What are some things that you've read about? So it has been a beautiful process, in my opinion. People may disagree. And then the second thing I just want to touch on very briefly is use what you already have and expand. We do not need to recreate the wheel. You are all experts at what you do. You are good at what you do. So keep using what you have. And some of those things that I manipulate a little bit every year, there are 3 major areas that I use consistently. One of them is the Golden Sower nominations. How I use these every year is a little different. So for example, this year was a large voting year. And so I actually taught the voting process in October and November using the Golden Sower. So we read all of them, talking about being an informed voter. Then we did a primary election. They had to fill out their voter registration cards. They had and then we narrowed it down to the top 3. And then we talked about how do you become a more informed voter. So I started pulling other titles that these authors had written to see if like what the one book that they had was maybe better expanded on, or a better show of their artistic abilities, or the language that they use. So I use the Golden Sower nominees very differently every year, but it is a staple in my school library time. The second one I do every
I'll
year.
just jump in here I'll just jump in just very quickly for those of you who are not from Nebraska. The Golden Sower Awards are a children's voting awards for children's books here in Nebraska. So the kids in the schools will vote on who wins these awards. So it's a Children's Choice Award for books that we have here in Nebraska. And the Sower it's a thing it's a statue on top of our Capitol building. It's a whole thing. But anyways,
Thank you for clarifying that.
Children's Choice Awards for those of you that don't know.
So the kids do end up getting to see how powerful their voice is at the end, which is really cool too when the winners come out at the end of the year. And then the second activity that I do consistently every year is during Dr. Seuss week. I actually I read a Dr. Seuss book. I try to find like a really obscure one or like a shorter version one. And then I have students create illustrations for it. And we talk about the difference between like the pictures we create in our head versus the pictures that like the illustrator of the book came up with, or like look at what you thought it should look like versus, and just those comparative pieces to be able to look at. It's really fun to see what they come up, because Dr. Seuss is the king of amazing, strange, and weird. And so to like see what they draw based upon the description is really fun. And so that is one I consistently do every year. And I actually do it kindergarten through 6th grade. And sometimes my favorite ones are usually like that 4th, 5th grade, because they're getting to that stage where they think they're too cool for what we're doing. And then the stuff that they're able to still create makes me very proud. So that's always really fun to see what they come up with. The third one that I consistently do, and I actually do this with our 1st and 4th grade crews every year, is we read the book If I Built a School. Once again, I don't show them the illustrations because I want them to come up with their own ideas, and we do like a STEM project on it. And each kid gets to pick their area of the school that they want to add to or build on. And then we actually create a 3D model of the school from the creation that the students create. And I do this intentionally with 1st and 4th, and I save pictures of their projects. I don't save their actual projects, so we can talk about the difference of like when they were in 1st grade versus like in 4th grade, how much more complex their ideas are. Like background knowledge is really important. And so I try to combine those things. And those are 3 staples that I do every year, regardless of what else is happening. And then the last thing I'm going to touch on is, why are rocks important? I feel like I am new to being a media specialist. This is only my 4th year doing this, but I do feel like it is a position that if you are not loud and vocal and getting your face in other staff members' area and not being present, I feel like it's one that could be easily phased out, because I did not realize how much our media specialists did. And I taught junior high science before I took this position. And our media specialists, I feel like they can help create, they can help offer so many things in many areas. And I feel like it is so important to recognize your strengths and speak those out loud. So like this year, we have a very large 4th grade class for our size of school. There's actually 24 of them, which for some of you are like, that's tiny. But for us, it's a pretty big class. And so I actually volunteered to be in there during their small group reading time, just so that teachers understand, like, I'm not just here for me, like I am here for you. Like I am here to advocate for our students' needs, what you need. I want to work with you. I am here. I am for you. So that I feel like is really important. Knowing what your rocks are. What hills are you willing to fight for? What are you going to stand on? And advocate very loudly for those things. That's all I got.
Oh, great. All right, thank you so much, Joanna. Sorry, I was just looking at what I've got on my screen here. Does anybody have any questions? Those great ideas, and I love that pride thing at the beginning. How that is that something that someone wants to know? That's something that your school does, or is that just something coming from the?
It is our PBIS, so it's our behavior intervention. So it is like across the board. Everybody talks about that. So it's rules for the classroom. It's rules for it's just our expectations of how we conduct ourselves. So.
Nice. Someone wants to, and we have a question about, does anyone wants to know about going out into the classrooms and going out there? You previously, was this something that was done previously, or is this something new you did? Was there any sort of like difficulty getting them to accept you coming out into their rooms, I suppose is the question.
I think one of the greatest advantages that I have is I have always been at McCool. So when I was a classroom teacher, it's the same people I was working with. I didn't move schools. So I kind of had a reputation for like being willing to like flexibility. I feel like is one of my greatest strengths. So like willing to do and try things like once a quarter, my 8th graders used to work with elementary classes, those kind of things. So it was something I had always done in my career. So when I moved into this position, it was a very natural, I had relationships with the staff, and I think that helped a lot. Now, some teachers are far more open to what I'm doing, like give me complete control or complete reign, or like, yeah, come on in. How many weeks do you want to work with them or whatever, where other ones I have to be a little more strategic. I just, knowing their personalities is really important. So.
Right. You're one of them kind of from before. So yeah, someone says having that, that previous experience, definitely I'm sure helps out. Yeah. So question, do you ever work with your public library in McCool? I know there is one.
We actually do not have a public library in McCool. I do allow I do allow like library cards, I wouldn't even call them that, from community members. I have several, probably 30 community members that come in weekly or every other week. I have a book club that I will order books for, that a group of ladies from McCool. Our neighboring closest library is in York, which is about 7 miles south of us. And so I don't currently. I do hand out all the material at the end of the school year of their what they offer for the summer, for like summer reading programs, and I personally take my own kids, but we don't have a public library in McCool. The town of McCool is right around 500, like 550 people, so we are small.
So would you kind of be considered like a joint public school library because of some of those things you offer, or?
Yeah, I mean, we have talked as a staff too about having hours during the summer, like getting staff to agree to like different like hours or taking on time. I haven't made it happen. That's something I probably should do, be a little more active in doing, but it's been in conversation. We just do not currently do it, no.
All right, awesome. All right, thank you so much, Joanna. That's our first lightning round. Good job.